I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted. What happened? If you ever caught yourself thinking that recently, maybe staring at the bathroom mirror or struggling to button trousers that fitted fine 2 years ago, you're not alone. I've heard some version of this on many occasions throughout my coaching career. And look, I get it. It feels like something has fundamentally shifted. Like your body just stopped cooperating somewhere along the way. But here's the uncomfortable truth that most people miss and most people simply don't want to know. Contrary to what most people think, your metabolism doesn't actually slow down with age. Well, at least not in the way you might think, and at least not until you reach 60. Not 40, but 60. Now, throughout the rest of this video, I'll reveal exactly what's happening here. I'll share 5 proven ways to fire up your metabolism and the sneaky daily mistakes that are quietly slowing it down. Ignore these and you'll be blaming age for problems you can actually fix. So, a 2021 study published in the journal Science analyzed over 6,000 people and found that after adjusting for body size and lean mass, total daily energy expenditure is remarkably stable from the age of 20 to 60. In other words, for every kilogram of muscle that you have, that muscle tissue burns the same amount of energy or calories no matter how old you are. There's no mysterious drop in cell metabolism. Well, not at least until you reach 60, after which there is decline of about 0.7% every year. Now, that means you cannot blame your weight gain on your age. Sorry, but here's the thing. That's actually really good news, because now you're no longer the helpless victim of your own biology. The villain is no longer your age, but the habits that crept in when you weren't looking. So if it's not your metabolism grinding to a halt, what is it? Well, I'm about to tell you. But before I do, let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I'm Matt Farr. I've spent over 2 decades as a health coach and an author helping busy professionals and entrepreneurs fix fatigue, boost their energy, slow midlife decline. My books and courses have sold over 12,000 copies worldwide. Now, I've coached hundreds of people on these topics, and I can tell you the real issue isn't your age. It's what you've been doing or not doing with the years that you've had. Now, I've seen it time and again where clients doing many of the right things on paper, but still can't shift that belly and continue to feel exhausted and fatigued. So what's actually going on inside your body once you cross that mysterious 40-year threshold? So here's the uncomfortable truth hiding in the world of metabolic health. You're losing muscle much faster than you realize. Once you hit 30, it's about 3 to 8% every decade if you're not actively doing something about it. And here's why that matters. Less muscle means fewer mitochondria, which are basically tiny power stations inside your cells. The more power stations equals more energy burned, even when you're sitting on the sofa doing absolutely nothing. So the less mitochondria you have, the less your metabolic rate, and the lower your calorie expenditure. But that's not even the worst part once you hit 40. There's the hormonal shift that nobody really warns you about. Testosterone and growth hormone decline, even in women. This slows muscle building and makes fat burning harder because, well, basically your engine has a lower horsepower. That's a double whammy, less muscle and less fat burning. And then there's something called inflammation. Now, I know that sounds like something I just made up, but it's not, I assure you. It's defined as chronic low-grade inflammation that's quietly wrecking your insulin sensitivity and your metabolic signaling over time. Think of it like rust building up inside a car engine. You can't see it, but over time it stops everything working properly and eventually breaks down. So what's the result of all of that muscle loss, the hormonal changes and inflammation? Well, weight gain, low energy, poor sleep, and a higher risk of insulin resistance, diabetes, and heart disease. So if you're watching this, you may know them a bit too well. So they're the very things you blame on just getting older. But here's what nobody tells you. Most of this is reversible. Admittedly, Not all of it, but enough to make a genuine difference to how you feel and function. So here's where we get a bit more practical. Fix number 1, prioritize resistance training. And I know I harp on about this in this channel, but it's your number 1 defense. It's non-negotiable. Most people think cardio is the answer after 40. It isn't, not even close. And weight training isn't just for 22-year-olds posting gym selfies either. So hear me out on this. Resistance training is the single best way to protect your metabolism after 40. Studies show that on average, each kilogram of muscle you have burns about 13 calories at rest, whilst fat burns almost nothing. Muscle is the most metabolically expensive tissue you have. The more you have, the more energy you burn just existing, even when you're asleep. But here's where it gets interesting. When you lift weights, the stress it creates doesn't just trigger your body to start building new tissue, it also triggers EPOC, which basically stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. It's a bit like you left the car engine running whilst you park the car. Basically, it means your metabolism stays elevated for between 24 to 48 hours after training. You're burning extra calories while watching telly, so that's a double return for your buck. Or at least for me, a pound, which means I get a bigger return. Anyway, moving on. Research consistently shows adults over 40 can gain 1 to 1.5 kilograms of lean mass in just 10 weeks of resistance training. Now, for some of you, that equates to 2 to 3 pounds. Now, with that increase in muscle mass, you get an increase of metabolic rate, typically around 5 to 7%. So that's like turning back the clock 5 or 6 years just by lifting weights a few times a week. So here's a few tips to get the best return from your resistance training. Number 1, train all major muscle groups 2 or 3 times a week. Focus on compound movements. So these are exercises like squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, and these hit multiple muscles all at once, so they give you a much bigger return. So start with your body weight or moderate loads if you're new to this. Number 3, progressive overload is key, which means to gradually increase the challenge over time. Number 4, training sessions don't need to exceed 30 to 45 minutes. Remember, you're not 25 anymore. And in fact, once you hit the 45-minine mark, as long as your training's of good quality, the returns that you get after that period start to diminish dramatically. Now, if you've got injuries, adapt your routine or get professional guidance. The most important thing here is to start. The worst program executed consistently beats a perfect program you never actually begin. Now, lifting weights stimulates the muscle growth engine, but there's something else you need to know in order to build it. And this is where a lot of people over 40 go wrong, which brings us to fix number 2. Is to increase your protein intake. Now, if you're over 40, the chances are you aren't eating enough protein, especially at breakfast. Now, tell me if this sounds familiar. You start the day with toast, maybe some cereal or coffee, and then wonder why by 11 a.m. you're starving. So you reach for biscuits or some other unhealthy snack, or maybe I should say cookies. So here's the problem once you hit 40. As you age, your muscles become less responsive to protein. This is what's called anabolic resistance. You can think of it like your muscles becoming hard of hearing. You need to shout louder to get the same response. That means eating more protein to achieve what your younger body used to do automatically. So protein intake is doubly more important in your 40s than it was in your 20s. Now get this, protein has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient. Digesting it burns 20 to 30% of its calories. So if you eat 100 calories of protein, you only net 70 to 80. It's essentially a free metabolic boost that's 5 or 6 times higher than you're going to get from fats or carbs. So the base range for protein intake when in a calorie restriction is about 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily in order to prevent muscle loss. And if you're active, and you should be after fix number 1, recommendations are about 1.5 to 2 grams. So here's how to apply what I've just shared. Number 1, aim for 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. For most people, that's about 30 to 50 grams per meal. Good sources include chicken breast, small amounts of red meat, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and legumes. Number 2, don't skip breakfast protein. This is where most people fall down, and it sets up the rest of your day to be an uphill battle. So that's 2 down, 3 to go. So far, we've covered resistance training, the non-negotiable foundation for protecting muscle and metabolism. And we've covered protein intake, which most people over 40 are simply not getting enough of, especially earlier in the day. Now, both are critical, but neither of these matter if you're undermining yourself in a way that most people don't even think about, which brings me on to fix number 3. And this one's probably not even on your radar when you think about improving your metabolism. Now, number 3 is optimize your sleep. This is the one everyone underestimates. Often I get resistance with this one. Matt, I do fine on 6 hours. And I get it. The body is excellent at adapting in order to survive and function. But being functional is not the same as being metabolically healthy. Surviving isn't thriving. It's not possible to sleep for 6 hours or less a night and be in good metabolic health. Now, I know some of you watching this are going to be resistant to hearing that, but the research doesn't support it. Poor sleep destroys your metabolism directly. Now, for example, just 1 week of 5 to 6 hours sleep can slash your insulin sensitivity by 25 to 30%. That's basically pre-diabetic territory from sleep deprivation alone, irrespective of your diet. It's not down to a lack of exercise either. It's just not sleeping enough. And it gets crazier. When sleep deprived, your body increases ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and decreases leptin, which is the signal that tells your brain your fat cells are full. So you feel hungrier, you crave rubbish, and you store more fat. Triple whammy just from not sleeping enough. So hopefully you're getting the picture here, but that's not all. Deep sleep is when growth hormone peaks, which is essential for muscle repair and fat metabolism. Miss it and you're essentially running up a metaphorical hill on one leg. And you can lift weights perfectly and eat all of the protein in the world and still get mediocre results because you're not sleeping properly. The University of Chicago study showed this perfectly. Sleep-restricted dieters lost 60% less fat and 55% more lean mass than more rested dieters, meaning they lost muscle instead of fat. Same calories, same food, but dramatically worse results, all because of just one thing: sleep. So how do you apply this into your life? Very simple. Number 1, aim for 7 to 9 hours sleep nightly. Number 2, keep your sleep and wake times consistent, even on weekends, which I know is annoying and might dampen your social life, but it makes a real difference to your results and how you feel. So decide what's more important for you right now. Number 3, limit screens 1 hour before bed. Number 4, keep your bedroom cool, 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. And number 5, cut caffeine after 2 p.m. And if you want some other tips and guidance on sleep, check out some of my other videos on this channel where I go into this in a lot more detail. So these simple things will support your deep sleep and help promote growth hormone and muscle gain. So right now, you're training, you're eating well, you're sleeping properly, but here's the curveball you didn't see coming. There's something that can undo a lot of the good work, and it's happening for most people without them even noticing. Fix 4, increase non-exercise activity. Now this one surprises a lot of people. When we talk about physical activity, most people focus on what they're doing in the gym, but in some ways what matters more is what you are doing when you aren't in the gym. This is what is commonly referred to as NEAT, and NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and it accounts for about 10% of your daily energy expenditure if you live a more sedentary life. But if you live a more active life, it can be as much as 50%. And that's all movement outside of formal exercise. Walking to the shops, standing at your desk, taking the stairs, even fidgeting counts. But here's what most people miss. Sedentary desk jobs crush your knee, often more than any gym session can compensate for. You could train hard for an hour, feel great about yourself, and then sit 8 hours and still be in metabolic trouble. Now, I've seen this pattern many times. Guys who exercise regularly but spend the rest of their day essentially motionless, and then wonder why they're not seeing results. This is a trap I see constantly in guys. Train at 6 a.m. and then sit at a desk until 6 p.m. and wonder why nothing's changing. Think about that for just a second. When you sit too long, your metabolism basically switches off, like a computer going into sleep mode. Even if you exercise regularly, prolonged sitting triggers what researchers call metabolic hibernation. Research has consistently shown that breaking up sitting with brief walks improves glucose and lipid profiles significantly. So one landmark study found that people with high daily movement burned up to 350 extra calories compared to sedentary individuals, just from walking and standing more throughout the day. To put that into context, that's close to what most people burn in a typical gym workout. And with NEAT, you're going to be able to achieve this every single day without ever touching a treadmill. That's 350 calories, no gym, every day. That's pretty awesome, right? So how do you apply all this? Number one, aim for 7,000 steps minimum. Ideally at least 10,000 if you can manage it. Number two, stand or walk for 2 to 5 minutes every hour. Number three, create opportunities to move more every day. Take phone calls standing or pacing, walk after meals, even just around the block. Use stairs whenever possible, avoid parking in the nearest space. Small stuff really, but it adds up more than you realize. Small movements aren't sexy, but they compound into metabolic wins over weeks and months. If you're finding this useful, there's a lot more on this channel and much more to come. The stuff that might sometimes sound boring, but actually moves the needle. Practical strategies for guys who don't have hours to spend on this, but want real results. Now, even if you nail all of this, the training, the protein, the sleep, the daily movement, there's still one thing that quietly sabotages everything else. And it might be the thread that ties all the others together. Because when this one's off, it makes everything else much harder. Fix number 5 is manage chronic stress. Stress is a silent metabolism killer. And this is where everything connects. Chronic stress elevates cortisol. High cortisol increases belly fat specifically, the visceral fat that's most dangerous for health. It breaks down muscle tissue, it impairs thyroid function, and wrecks sleep, gut, and hormonal health. In metabolic terms, stress is the arch enemy of your metabolism. Without even realizing it, you'll find yourself gaming away, even when you feel like you're doing everything right. But I'm eating well and exercising. Why isn't it working? I hear this often, and stress is usually the missing piece because it doesn't just affect hormones directly. It triggers poor sleep, comfort eating, reduced activity, and you start telling yourself you'll get back on track next week. Then next week never comes. It's a triple hit from a single source. But here's where it gets really interesting. You see, you aren't the powerless victim of your stress. There's a lot you can do. Even brief daily relaxation yields measurable benefit. Research consistently shows that just 10 to 15 minutes of daily meditation can reduce cortisol levels by 15 to 25% over several weeks. In one study published in the journal Obesity, researchers found mindfulness practices can help prevent visceral fat accumulation and supports fat loss efforts independent of any dietary changes, just by managing stress better. Now, these are just 2 strategies for lowering stress. There are many others, some of which I've shared about on this channel, and many others I will share in time. So how do you go about applying this? Number 1, build at least 10 to 15 minutes daily of genuine relaxation. This might be breathwork, meditation, learning a musical instrument, even a quiet walk without your phone. Apps like Headspace or Calm can make this easier if you're not sure where to start meditation. Number 2, set firm boundaries around work. Protect your recovery time like you protect a business meeting, because it matters just as much, arguably even more. So that's the 5 fixes and what to do. Well, let's touch on what not to do. Here's 5 quick-fire common mistakes to avoid. These mistakes are probably doing more damage to metabolism than you realize, and I see them constantly. Number 1, crash dieting. Severe calorie restriction triggers something called adaptive thermogenesis. Your body thinks it's starving, so it lowers your metabolic rate by 15 to 25% to conserve energy. A follow-up study of the Biggest Loser contestants found that 6 years after appearing in the show, the contestants' resting metabolism was about 500 calories a day, lower than would be expected given their size and composition, and most had regained most of the weight they'd lost. The point is, extreme diets backfire, but they make everything harder going forward, so avoid them. Number 2, sacrificing sleep for early workouts. If you're cutting sleep to exercise, you're losing. The math simply doesn't work out in your favor, even though it feels like you're doing. Just remember everything I just talked about earlier about sleep, and you'll understand my point. Number 3, relying too much on caffeine and stimulants. They mask fatigue, raise cortisol, wreck sleep, a false solution that makes the underlying problem worse over time. Number 4, too much cardio, not enough strength work. Excessive endurance training without resistance work promotes muscle loss. You may lose weight on the scales, but you're losing the wrong kind of weight. Muscle keeps your metabolism firing. Lose it and you can forget any chance of losing weight and energy. Remember, muscle weighs more than fat, so if you're doing everything right, you may not even see the scale shift very much. Number 5, weekend warrior patterns. Training hard on Saturday and Sunday, then doing nothing all week. Inconsistent stimulus fails to maintain muscle or metabolic adaptation. Your body needs regular signals, not sporadic, intense ones. So there you have it, the 5 metabolic fixes and the 5 metabolic mistakes. You want to pay attention to both if you're serious about improving your metabolism at 40. I'm afraid there's no cheat sheet here, but deep down, I'm sure you already knew that. So let's wrap this up. Your metabolism after 40 isn't a lost cause. Lift weights, eat enough protein, sleep properly, move throughout the day, manage stress. Avoid the crash diet trap. The real cheat code after 40 is boring, steady consistency. Stacked over months, not dramatic intervals, not dramatic interventions, and not quick fixes. Pick one strategy from today's video and start this week. Just one. Get that dialed in and then add another. If you've got questions about how this applies to your situation, let me know in the comment. I'll respond as soon as I can. And if you want more support or a personalized plan, my contact details are in the description. Remember, aging is not the cause of your slow metabolism. Your choices are. You used to be able to eat whatever you wanted, and you still can if you do the work. So in today's video, I talked a lot about the importance of sleep. So I recommend you watch one of these 2 videos next, where it will help you if you keep waking up around 4 AM. The other if you wake up tired, no matter how much sleep you get. So check out one of those next.